Hello again, everybody. Episode 24. We want to talk a lot about attendance today.
Yeah, but James, this one's really exciting because this is secret squirrel business. What we're about to show is only for the pilot schools across the state that have been involved. Although we understand that given the success that's expected of this, it will be released to everybody soon. So if you're watching this, you're one of the select few.
Yeah, sneak peek.
Okay, so today we're going to look at the School Attendance Self-Assessment Sprint. As the name suggests, it's a very quick tool that principals can use to highlight where the biggest areas for improvement are. It's self-determined and it's only for the principal, although the director obviously can support the school. But you're not asked to go into a great deal of evidence or proof. That's not expected. It's about making professional judgments and then identifying what actions can be done that will make a difference. The key focus here, knowing our target is students above 90%, this tool is actually focusing on what can we do that's going to make a real impact in those students in the tier 1 range or 80 to 90% attendance range to get them up above and into our target zone. So James, we might bring the tool up and jump off to the side. Okay James, so this is the first of the sheets and we've skipped through to page 5. You can see at the top the improvement measure is enhanced communication with students and parents, and we're looking to see the process are implemented for attendance concerns to be discussed with students and their parents or carers. On the left hand side you can see that the principal is going to have a choice of 4, working towards delivering, sustaining and growing or excelling. Like with our other attendance materials that we've looked at previously, in that delivering is anything that relates to the policy or procedure. And you can see called out there 4.2.4, schools must ensure that for students with attendance concerns, the learning and support needs of those students are addressed in consultation with parents. Now, the CEF, components from the CEF, both in terms of learning and leading, are sitting there and they're used to give the principal an idea of where to differentiate.
It's context, right?
Yeah.
That's the why. That's
Yep.
the why we're doing it.
Moving across to the evidence that might be discussed column, this is certainly not all the things that the school's required to have. This has helped to assist the principals and their attendance teams with looking at the types of evidence that could be considered.
So this is useful part number 1, right? So there might be low-hanging fruit here.
Yeah.
There might be one of those suggested dot points that actually you don't do or the system doesn't work. So there might be a really quick go-to fix.
Yep. The right-hand column has any resources or supports that are available. The bits that I like are the bottom 2 rows. So what are the practice you're going to focus on to achieve improvement in this element? And what actions will you undertake to achieve this? So if we're looking for processes to be implemented around attendance concern, the very first, if it was my school, is we'd change it to 90%. Once a student hits that mark going down, we're contacting the parents straight away to say, your child is educationally at risk. And that would be the biggest change that I think a school can make that will have a huge immediate improvement with what we do like to refer to as learning.
And in saying I respect your stand on that, but this will have broad applicability, and we just need to recognise that some of our communities have entrenched attendance issues, and they won't. They some of them of which will be more intractable than others. So it's not. We're not setting people up to go to war here, but
yeah.
we your expectation will be framed by your clientele.
The only thing is, I think it's really important that part of this pilot is around we are setting a new standard for attendance, and we have to be really strong on that, and we have to communicate that regardless of how hard it is with the community.
I understand, yeah, but we also need to be aware of the complexity that sits underneath it. So
and go hard anyway.
And go.
We'll fight off air.
Yeah, okay.
So
poke your eye.
Well, get the right hand one. Okay, if we go on to the second one, this is excellent. So attendance above 90%,
Yep.
and improved student attendance is acknowledged. And I would say as a system, we spend far too much time focusing on the negative and not enough time in positive affirmation. So I love this piece. So what are we doing to reward those students and acknowledge them, those that come with above 95%?
Yeah, no, their parents have made an investment in them, in keeping them coming to school, and it's going to pay off for them. So it's important that they get on that same bandwagon and understand, because then there'll be, I know, I'll be a little philosophical here, there's a generation of kids who will bring their own children up in that way, the importance of school.
Yep, fantastic. And this is one that I think is really easy and very quick to focus in on. Lots of schools already do the 100% attendance. It was really interesting when I was doing lots of research around attendance, that there's a whole body of research that says rewarding 100% attendance is actually quite detrimental. So this above 95% I'm really supportive of. Okay, we're now into theme 2, which relates to administrative recording of attendance data, and this one's really quite simple. Attendance codes are used with accuracy. So we know from the procedures that we must register the attendance. We've got our evidence base through EBS4 that we can go to. We can look at the processes though to make sure that it is teachers making those judgments. And
again, the evidence that might be discussed column is basically a how-to, what to do. And if there's going to be a simple fix here, it's probably going to be in those dot points.
One of the simplest questions that I'd be asking of each principal involved is, when was the last time you took all your teaching staff through a refresher of what's required, and do you have that commitment collective around the differentiation between justified and unjustified leave? If we push on, our attendance data is tabled at least fortnightly with staff responsible for leading attendance follow-up. Now, many schools do that through their learning support team. However, increasingly, and very much for the pilot schools, we're asking schools to have an attendance team that may or may not be the same players, but at least fortnightly. And I like to use, when I'm going out to schools, the report that comes out of Scout, simply because that's accessible to me. Actually all of my schools use Central, as do I think a large percentage of yours. So there are a variety of ways schools can interact with that, but looking around whether or not that's done effectively and what can be done to improve it.
Sure.
Okay, role marking irregularities are investigated by a delegated staff member and corrections made to the system. Now, one of the things that always surprises me when I go into Scout is the percentage completeness in the data. And when you dive into that, the biggest thing that knocks it around is when a casual teacher's on, they don't have access, paper rolls are manually marked but not entered.
Yep. Oldie but a goodie.
Yep. And so in terms of actually fixing the data to make it accurate, that's a simple one, although it's not going to obviously have an impact on student outcomes. Attendance data is being checked and transferred at least weekly to EBS4.
Sounds as simple as it is.
Yep, it is, and that's a very quick one. You'll know whether you're doing it. And I was talking to one of my schools this morning, just talking, and they said, look, we do it most weeks, but not every week. So very easy one to address. The third theme is around school attendance procedures, and we're looking that partial absences are recorded on rolls, the precise times of non-attendance are recorded. Again, very simple and direct. The procedures say that schools are responsible for ensuring that attendance records are maintained in improved format and are accurate record of the attendance of students. Now, I think this is an area where many of our schools may need to review their procedures.
It's problematic. It has wobbly thresholds in most workplaces. So
really interesting, 3 hours or more as a partial absence now counts as a full day absence when we're looking at data. So it's an area that principals can focus in on and tighten up. Improvement measure, attendance policy is implemented, so records of student absence and explanation for parents are followed up and communicated and appropriately documented.
It all seems really pragmatic, sensible, straightforward, Steve.
It's a very quick evaluation process, James. Evidence of attendance data informing school planning. Now, we went through this back in episode 9 of Impact Ed, going in and having a look at the number of students and how many days of school they're missing, and then whether or not we're really investigating those students and following up, particularly around literacy and numeracy, I think is of great importance.
It has flow-on effects, doesn't it, to
Yep.
all aspects?
And with all of our schools doing their situational analysis presently, we think they'd be right deep in their data in this area.
Yep.
Our fourth theme relates to staff knowledge and skills and professional learning. So the policy is understood and the school's attendance procedures are readily available and adhered to by all staff. It calls out something from the procedures as well as the policy. But this idea of getting the commitment collective so that there is an absolute shared understanding of what is expected, what are the non-negotiables, and ensuring that they're implemented 100% of the time by all staff, I think is crucial. And that takes us through to what I believe to be the last page, James, which is the attendance policy is implemented again is our theme, and staff understand and fulfil their roles and responsibilities for role marking. And again, I think the previous page was making sure they know what they are. This one is how do you make sure that it's occurring on a daily basis.
Sure. Okay, so how are those pilot schools using this? They're sort of filling it in for themselves as they do the situational analysis?
So if I take us right back up to the very first page, James, actually, would you believe the very second page, James? On the bottom left-hand side, you can see the hyperlinked school attendance self-assessment sprint. That's an online tool through a Microsoft form. They just go through and do it all online, and that data's collated for them.
Oh, brilliant. So it's like our reading survey. It's just self...
Well, it's not that good, but yeah. No, it's a great tool
Yep.
to use, even if we didn't develop this one.
We have rightfully stolen it, though.
Yeah, well, absolutely, as we do with anything good or shiny. But it shouldn't take very long. It will inform schools and it will be really useful for your school planning process, but also to make sure that all your practices are right for day one, term one of 2021.
Excellent. Thanks. And you've given us all access to this.
No, this is secret squirrel business for the minute.
Oh, okay.
If you've got this link, enjoy it. Sell it to your neighbours.
Okay.
All right, have a great day.
Thanks.